So we're here again, ready to go.
Ready to go. How you doing, Robert?
I'm doing good. Good.
Good to see you again.
You've been seeing me for quite a while, but it's
Live
good
on
to
the
see you
radio.
too. Yeah, I
It's
know.
good to see you again live.
Yeah, alive. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I hate it when we're dead doing a show. I mean,
I know. It's hard to get together to do shows on a weekly basis, and I think it's wise to say that both you have been really busy with you plucking chickens and me starting a new career. So
we've been doing a lot of genetic modifications on the animals and stuff. Like right now, we're breeding a chicken with a goat. And no, there's somebody out there like, what? What? Really?
yeah. We'll probably get in trouble for that one, right?
Probably. You never can tell. But yeah, if they're going to be that picky about everything, well,
You know,
let it
people are
be.
picky these days, and I think we're learning the hard way.
You know, when the majority of people have to worry about the minority of people getting butt hurt. You know, it should be the other way around. That we shouldn't have to worry about the small minority of people getting butt hurt. We should be able to speak freely what is on our mind. And I'm not talking about hurting people or whatever, but as far as like violently hurting people. But if I said something like, I just really despise, such and such, I should be able to say, I despise, or I believe this, thing floating around now where you got to wear a diaper on your face is, my opinion, is not right. I should have the right to speak what I want to say,
Absolutely.
especially if I went to college to study virology and I knew something was fake. I should be allowed to say that. Just like with the pandemic, we had 80,000 doctors and nurses that were saying, hey, this is not right. And then you have that one person, well, actually two, and one of the two is, if you look on Google, that person is the most powerful doctor in the world. Although he never went to school to be a doctor, he's the world's most powerful doctor. Just like Jill Biden is a doctor. She never went to school to be a doctor, but she's a doctor. And it's like, wow, okay, so we're listening to non doctors pretend they're doctors. But then if you look at the way the world is now, if a person chops off their private area and they think there's something else, and we have to abide by calling them what, it's like, but I'm a girl. It's like, no, you're a guy without a wiener. Sorry, but that's just
Yeah.
the way it is.
Well,
You
that's
know,
true. That's true because we're seeing things that we never saw before. We weren't raised on this stuff. I mean, we're Gen X. I mean, we are the last of the last
that's
before
nothing to
internet.
brag. That's nothing to brag about either. I mean,
Mm,
I want the legacies to be passed down then again and again. I mean, I remember you told me not long ago, a couple of years ago, I believe it was, that up in Michigan, there was one of your schools that was going to get sued if they didn't put a kitty litter box in the restroom
right.
because a couple of people thought they were cats.
I
You
thought
know,
that was I thought that whole thing was just a farce. Believe me, I thought it was BS until it came out in the news, and I was like, there ain't no way. Uh-uh.
Well,
There ain't
back
no
when
way.
we were that age, we had a cure for that. You put that person in a padded room, uh,
No,
they
I'd
would
get their
change.
ass kicked first, but
With
yeah.
that too, that would work, but put them in a padded room. And then, and another thing is like the government trying to take over our children like we're China or something. Well, then again, we sold out. We didn't. The current president sold our country out to, we're just about like China is right now. I mean, the
Yeah.
people are so, brainwashed to thinking that it's good. It's a good thing the government's taking their kids. Not my kids, especially when you're teaching our kids sex education at an early age and things of this nature. That I met a guy the other day, and I think it's called The Prince and the Knight was a book about this prince had these three girls, and he ran from them, wasn't interested in them, but he liked this knight, and he was showed them laying with each other and kissing each other and stuff like that. Look, I don't care if you want to have that lifestyle,
Mm,
but I don't care if you're any of that lifestyle. I don't want it around my children. I don't want them talking about how to make out with a girl if you're a guy, or two girls and two. I don't want that talk to my children, especially at that age. I mean, I have a hard time talking to them now when they're, like 17 to, and they're, twice that age, but at that age, preschools and like first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, talking about boys having sex with boys, and hell no, hell no.
Well,
If that's the way the government wants to try to take over and raise our kids, it's time we get the government out of business.
yeah, the thing about it is, but I hate to say this, and I'll say it over and over again. We, the people, allowed this to happen. This is why I keep telling you, I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I am an American citizen who is going to defend the Constitution, plain and simple. I don't want nothing to do with our government whatsoever because they're robbing us. They're billions of dollars, $150 billion we sent to Ukraine. And
And
when
how
we
much
could
how
use
much should we send to Hawaii? seven
none.
hundred dollars a person,
Yeah, yeah.
or a
See,
family?
that's
A
what I'm
family?
talking about. Yeah. Exactly, and I have a real good friend who used to live there in Maui, and when she was crushed when she found out that her whole world that she lived in for 8 years was gone, like, just like that.
That's like a complete total insult. We're going to give you $700. Really? Well, first of all, the cost of living there is astronomical.
Yes.
$700 is not going to do crap for anybody. They lost everything they had. Then you're going to insult them with $7,000 would be a complete total insult. But $700, and then you're giving $2,500, give or take, to the Ukrainians. That's not even America. You know the FJB. The same thing with the Ukraine government. I'm not talking about the people of Ukraine, God forbid, but the government over there is the most crooked there ever was. And you got these people that are just like here, taking over and taking on. There's no accountability for all the money we sent over there. None.
None.
You know, and then they're trying to start a war, which is be a nuclear war with Putin and China. People, these people, these comedians, these jokesters, these terrorists, these pedophiles need dealt with and out of our country.
Yeah, well,
You know,
that's true. I mean, yeah. I think about this on a daily basis. I watch this whole thing unravel and unravel, and I'm pretty close to a church, and this could be very well be. This is the end. Um,
or the beginning.
well, it's always going to be a new beginning, but
Depends on which side you're sitting on, because for me, for example, if we're going into a rapture, which I'm excited for that, I'm very excited for that,
mhm,
and we need that. We need that so badly. I could only pray that I'm good enough to be taken with the rapture, but if I'm not, I ask every day of my life for the wisdom and knowledge and the forgiveness of my sins to be able to be here
mhm,
and do what I need to do in Jesus God's name. Uh, if I have to die for my belief, I have no problem with that one whatsoever. None. I have no fear of it. None. And if it's going to straighten our country and this world out and we're stuck to live with this crap, I got children. That's my number one concern is my children. And I'm not going to live in this world and just let these people, sniffing heads of children and sniffing cocaine in the White House and sniffing whatever, sniffing butts or whatever they're sniffing. They need to stop it. They need out. There's nothing that we're going to do to make it better when they're in there.
mm. No, I agree with you. I agree on that. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be you say, it could be, beginning of a new life for everybody, and I believe that to be so. Uh, it's just like this. You and I have discussed many times over. What is on the other side. You had an experience. I had an experience, and to me, this is just all leading up to something. This is something what to expect. This is something that you and I have talked over the last couple of years on a daily basis of, you know, what could possibly be on the other side. And our perspectives are totally different how we see it. But when I was talking to you about it, it was like, wouldn't it be great, if it was like that? But at the same token, what we're promised in the Bible, what it's going to be like, but there is no actual painted picture of what it's going to be like. We don't know.
I don't
But
think our stories were that different because, for example, uh, where I went around to all the states in the United States, and I met a lot of tribe leaders and people in the tribes, and studying religion in college for only a couple of semesters. That does not mean I'm some expert by any means, and been in a church my whole life. That doesn't mean I'm an expert by any means either. But from what I gather, I say a lot of churches are wrong. For example, I grew up in a Baptist church, and the preacher looked right at me because my father worked in the coal mines, and he got his back broken 3 places. So we went from having decent money, to no money. And I had just a couple of shirts and a couple of pair of pants to my name. I had to wear them to school, I had to wear them to play, and I had to wear them to church. We'd take a shower and wear clean clothes to church, but they were by far from being nice clothes. They were bad. But nevertheless, the preacher looked directly at me in a church full of people and said, "Some of our youthful members need to be more concerned how they appear when they show up for church."
mhm,
I was so embarrassed. Anyways, and it wasn't long after that, he looked directly at me and said, "Some of our male youthful members of our church need to be more concerned about the length of their hair." Directly behind the preacher was a painting of Jesus Christ with long hair. And I'm like, I knew the word back then. I was just young, but I knew the word hypocritical. And you never like to think of your preachers being hypocritical. But I grew up watching this happen time and time again. And then when I wrote the song called "Why Have They Taken God Away," which made #1 on the spiritual rap charts in the USA,
mhm.
5 on the world indie artist charts, uh, ACT, the largest church in the United States at the time, I think they had 7 or 8,000 member congregation, sent Iris Wright to get me, and I had 2 drivers, and we went on tour to all the truck stops throughout the United States to perform the song, and then they wanted me to play secular music, my other music, and what have you. But we got to meet a lot of different church or types, like the Pentecostals and things of this nature. And my church was a baby church compared to some of the ones. There's a girl that was 18 years old, went to this one church, and the preacher chased her down the street because she showed up in jeans. And it's the way I grew
I
up. It
don't
doesn't
I
matter
don't
what
believe
you have
that.
to
Mm-mm.
wear. If you wanted to wear shorts, flip flops,
Doesn't matter how long your hair is. It doesn't matter
no,
if
it doesn't.
women
I'm
wear
not there.
jeans. It
I'm
doesn't
not there
matter.
for those people. I'm there for Jesus. I'm there for God. I'm not there for the Pope. Uh, which, by the way, for those people, the popes, if you look up the history that we were taught in school back when we had history, remember we had to
Right, right,
learn
right.
cursive and all that stuff, mathematics. We had to. The popes were responsible for multi millions and millions of deaths, and I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and talk bad about somebody's religion because it's a very beautiful religion, the
I
oldest.
well, that's okay. So, which leads to a really good part that you and I had discussed right before I got sick. You remember when I asked if there was division in the churches? Well,
Yeah.
I learned a valuable lesson. And yes, there is division in the church. And it really made me disappointed. But it talks about it in the end of times, when, churches will become divided. I mean, how much more closer to the rapture can we get?
Well,
Think
they've
about
always been divided. Think when Jesus walked in and started turning the tables over,
that. Hmm.
when they were, dealing with money in there. They still do that, and it may
Hmm.
be to raise money for the church or whatever. But people still sell things, church raffles, church,
Yeah, well,
fundraiser.
one of the things that gets me is the Jewish beliefs. The Jewish beliefs are still not recognizing Jesus as Jesus at all. They don't believe that Jesus existed, and that's where I was always wondering about that, but
They,
but it says the Jews are God's chosen people, you know.
well, they knew that he existed, but that he was of a prophet. Um, and that's the same in the Muslim community. They know Jesus
Mhm.
existed. They know that he walked the land, but they don't give him praise of who he is. That's our belief as a Christian, and not everybody is going to see eye to eye. Now, when I was in one of my when I was going through the religious classes in school, it was almost a division, 50-50. 50% of the earth was Muslim, 50% of the earth was Christian. It wasn't quite 50-50, but it was on that. And the
Understood.
Christianity was shrinking, getting smaller. Uh, and others were growing as we were getting smaller. And if you look at our broken homes that we have, and you look at the government trying to take over the children, the
Mhm.
persecution of Christians throughout the world, particularly China and other countries, um, yeah, I mean, I can see why it's shrinking. But if you were ever captured, and I've always said this, I've said this to my wife before, if I were captured and they were going to decapitate us, why would you fret and worry about that? You know, you know where you're going.
That's right. Well,
I wouldn't, you
you're
know,
right. You're right, and it's just like I said, I said, "Lord, if you want me to stay here and fight for you, I'll fight for you, whatever it takes." But, yeah, when that door closes, it doesn't matter anymore. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. When that door closes, what's on the other side of the door is so much better than where we're at right now.
if we have to sit in this world and get to be old men and then fight a war, I'm going to be out there with my cane whacking people over the head.
Yeah, just get it over with. But, it's what's really amazing to me is how many people go throughout their day like none of this is going on. Like,
Yeah,
it's just like they're
it's not my
oblivious.
problem.
Well, as long as it's not their problem, they really don't care, but, it's just like I said, I go, if who was I? Oh, I was talking to my friend the other day. I said to him, I go, well, if anything happens to me, I just disappear and that you can't get a hold of me or whatever the case may be, don't really worry, okay? And no, I wasn't abducted by aliens. And he just says, "Oh, what's that mean?" Well, if I get taken up in the rapture, I want you to know that, you know.
That's a very exciting, beautiful time. I mean,
Mhm.
I looked at myself more as Lot, and I'm not anywhere near as close to being perfect as a Christian, so I'd like to be. I think that speaks for the majority of every Christian on earth. But nevertheless, I would like to at least have the opportunity, if I'm not taken up, to be able to help to make the world a better place, regardless. Um, there's a lot of things that are just missing, but if you look at what the Bible tells us, there's a lot of pride. Well, we got pride flags. Speaking of flags, I've got my pride flag going on my ATV.
Oh, Lord have mercy. That oh, man. To me, it's just humiliating. The whole thing is just humiliating. We have this great country, that God gave us, and we're trashing the whole world. I mean, we are destroying this world that God gave us, that
And we
God
can't point a
created for
finger at
us.
the current people there
Climate
because this has been
control.
going on for decades.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
our own faults. It's what it really boils down to, Chris. It's our faults.
Money is the root of evil. Power is the control of evil. When you put the two together, power and money, it's going to take over. When you take some of these really large, most wealthy families on earth that control all the major corporations and all the
Right.
people who work for those corporations, you can't help but think to themselves they're a god, which they're not. But to them, they may think of themselves as a god because they're far superior than just the working class people that we're nothing. We pull up on a rowboat to their giant yacht. So what does that leave us to them? Well, in my eyes, I don't care if you're the wealthiest person on earth or the poorest person on earth. Wealth doesn't come by your bank account, it comes by
Right.
your heart.
Hmm. Hmm. I agree. And, you know, we, when you read the Bible, a lot of people, when they open up the Bible and they read it, and we see the things happening around us. Some people can open up the Bible and they can just relax and say, "This is God's word. God's word's going to protect me. It's going to help me to, get through my day. My prayers in the morning when like when I go to work, from the time I leave in my car to the I get to work is my time with God. I did, that's what I do. But also, if you hear that winding noise, my lawnmower, my guy's doing my lawn,
Oh, okay.
and my dogs are like throwing down. So anyway, but
Isn't it amazing how dog backwards spells God? I mean, that
Mhm.
has a similarity or whatever, but
Like, yeah,
they're
that's
such an
true.
amazing they're such an amazing friend,
Hmm.
or they could be your enemy as well. But I mean, they're such an amazing gift to mankind
Yeah, don't
to be
piss
able to
me
have
off.
a pet live in your house with you. Back when we had our own cave and we were cave people, and they ate people. Whoever got the first wolf and tamed it down and made a pet out of it to think that someday we would be where we are today.
No, yeah, and it's all about the creation. It's all about everything that what's happening right now. We all have our things. And it should be positive. It should be a positive time in the Christian communities. But here was something that was brought up. Maybe you ought to answer this question for me. We can read the Bible, and the Bible says that, when everything, God's word reaches the world from everywhere, it has to reach the world. Um, the question remains about different religions, if you know what I'm getting at. Well, you and I had this conversation before. And everybody has their own type of God, but is God really that way that he would punish people for worshiping their own God, which could be that they're worshiping him, but in a different way?
Native Americans that I spoke with, their story of like the Garden of Eden is similar but in a different way.
Yep.
Um, so there's a lot of people that see it in a different way, but we were not there to actually walk in that garden. So
Right.
we're only hearing and reading the words that have been passed down for eons. And it's okay to not thoroughly see it eye to eye or understand it eye to eye, because it tells you there again in the Bible that there will be a time that it will be explained to us. All the things that we had questions about will be answered to us. And
Well, and you can get that. You can also ask God for wisdom. I
well,
mean,
yeah,
and you can always ask him, can you help me to understand why this is happening right now? You know,
even with reading the Bible, if a lot of people are having trouble reading the Bible, before you pick up the Bible, ask, please grant me the wisdom and knowledge to explain and understand what I'm reading
I
and
do
what
that
I'm
all the
trying.
time.
I meet every day, every single day. And that's with more than just reading the Bible. That's with life in its own self.
Mhm.
Uh, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I mean, the most perfect person that ever walked upon this world, Jesus. And there are a lot of religions that would just digress with that. But regardless, you have the right to believe what you want. But it does tell you in the Bible that someday all will see. When he ascends back to earth, we will all see. And there will be every head bowed to the ground for the kingdom of glory. And what an honor. What a complete honor.
It is. But we we have to start understanding that the things that are happening right now in our government, the crime,
They have to happen.
it has to happen. Because that's what they're doing, is that Satan destroying the world. He's going to try to take as many people with him as he can. And And there's so much my feelings towards that is and God. It's like you said, there's always that question that we'll figure it out when God lets us know
Well,
what.
there'll be a lot of false prophets that come here. There'll be a lot of
Yeah.
people claiming to be. I've met a person before, and he'd said his name was Jesus. He wouldn't say things, but he would let you think he was. And this is on Facebook. It's like, wow, I never thought I'd meet Jesus on Facebook. Wow. But then what if it was? you
ev-
know, we just have to, whatever happens in this world, you've got to give everything. And if you hang around negative people, if you hang around drug addicts or drug dealers or gangsters or whatever, that's how you are. If you hang around positive, can do people, people that make a difference in this world, the people that genuinely care, whatever your religion is, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that generally, I can't get the word out, people that really care. Whether you're Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, whatever, if you care about people and you do things out of the kindness of your heart for other people and you're positive about it, that's what the world is lacking. Right now, we just have so much selfishness. We have so much boastful pride. And that's not the world I want to live in. And I resent those kind of people.
well,
And
yeah, everybody would. I mean, it's that growth, that spiritual feeling, everything that we together. It's just it's amazing. I
I mean,
mean,
many times I've almost put my hands in there and said, that's it. I'm selling everything I've got here now, and I'm moving to my home in the Philippines. I have a house in the Philippines, and it's in the mountains, and it's extremely peaceful. Uh, you
why
have a
don't you
caribou.
go there?
Well, I didn't say I wasn't, but we have a caribou there that does the work what a tractor would do here for us. But you're not going to get a tractor through the rice fields, but the caribou can. Um, you grow what you eat. You fish and catch what you eat. Um, I mean, I've even watched the videos over there where they were catching mosquitoes and flaying them into a steak on the grill. They're so big. And no, I'm kidding about that part.
Don't
But
scare people now.
what
Oh
part of the
man,
mosquito would you like?
this world is a very small world, and it's a very beautiful world. And I every day when I get up in the mornings, one of the first things I do is I turn on YouTube and I start to listen to bits and pieces of what is actually going on in our government. And I honestly am to the point right now where I just if you turn it off, you're not tempted to listen to it. But if you're tempted to listen to it, that's what Satan wants you to listen to it. He wants you to hear this stuff. He wants you to be aware of this stuff.
Well, be aware that Satan himself is a very, very intelligent uh,
Oh yeah.
being, and he knows your weaknesses. He knows exactly what your weaknesses are. It's just like when you're typing on your phone predicts what word you're going to say.
Yep.
You don't have to. It's like you think it, and there it is. Like, wow, okay, and it does it all the time. Well, Satan knows what you're thinking. He knows you. I mean, remember, he knows the Bible just as well as Jesus knows the Bible. So when you're sitting there dealing with somebody that's that intelligent and that beautiful, you could be fooled, and the majority of people will be fooled. I mean, it also tells you that it would be like trying to take a camel through the eye of a needle. The few that will follow the narrow path. Um, there are people like, how are you going to get a camel through a needle? No, that's just a saying, a metaphor. So it's probably not the correct word for those, you know, English scholars out there. That I'm not. I'm a country boy. I make a lot of mistakes, lots of mistakes, and I like to admit to my mistakes when I make them. Um, we just need to make the world a better place, and it starts with each of us.
I agree.
You can't make the world better. I'm not blaming you, Robert. I'm saying it starts with me. I have to start, and then you the same, and everybody hearing this. make the world better as a place for everybody, not just yourself. You know, when we were children, we can go help our neighbor. Like you see an old man out there cutting his grass, walk over and help him. I mean, if you can,
Not
and you're
today. No one will do that today.
today, they don't, not very many. And the ones that do, they're looking, what do you want? Get out of here. That's just what we're trained to do. That's what we're trained to think because everybody's trying to take your whole pie. You want to offer somebody a piece of your pie, but they take the whole damn thing.
You know what? This is why I always say it. We're the last generation to have those principles and have those ethics.
You know, when you watch Mayberry, Andy and Opie and all that, and those shows back in the time,
Yeah, you watch them. Yeah.
yeah, it's so peaceful back then. Or you watch these Roy Rogers or whatever, you got bad guys, but people were more genuine. And then gradually we just get more calloused, you know. And in today's society, you know, the average family, how many divorces you go through. And if you're going through all kinds of divorces, I'm not blaming you because I've had my share. I've got the perfect wife now for me. Um, just trying to get her here's another problem, which that's another story in its own self. I don't believe the government should ever keep husband and wives apart, particularly years when the borders are welded open. You just walk right through the border, but yet the legal process can take years.
Mm-hmm. Well, God will grace you for that. I mean, it's true. You know, when I look back over a friend of mine not long ago, yeah, I was sitting at his house, and this is before I had my braces off. I was breaking my braces, and I broke it, and I had to get it fixed again. And I'm sitting at his house saying, "Man, I just can't believe I'm walking in braces like this. I never thought I would be, in a situation like this." It Because when you walk in to get a job anywhere and you're walking in braces, now just became a liability. And they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to hide.
Did their eyes look at you then to their braces before they said no?
Well, no, I didn't notice that. It's kind of like you could see it off from a distance. But he said to me, he goes, "Don't look at the past. Look where you're at right now. Look what the progress you've made." And just 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 the other day, I actually thought about that. I was at work, up on top of a roof. I told you. Maybe that's why I was so close to God. I was burning up. Anyway, so um, I looked out and I looked around me, and I just said, "Thank you, God, for this great job. This is something that I've been looking for, something that I've been wanting to do." God gave me the greatest gift that anybody could give me.
Gave you a lot of great gifts.
And the the essence of it is that me now, me looking at who I am now is much different than I was back then. I was the same person, but something changed in me.
You're a lot more humble now.
Uh, that
You
could
are.
be it.
You're a
Um,
lot more humble now.
I just I just see a totally different world. I see things happening that worries me. It doesn't worry me as for I'm worried about what's going on. I'm worried about my grandchildren and their children in the future, if it even goes that far. But one of the things I did is when I was up on that roof, I was like very thankful, so thankful for what God has done for me. And I don't want to let anybody down because to me, I asked him for a perfect job and he delivered a perfect job to me. And that's why I thought, well, this is good. This is a good thing. This is something that I believe he gifted to me because of my last job. That was just a journey. That journey led me to where I am today.
Well, it's a sail in your ship, and it
Correct.
brought you to a new location.
Yep.
And we all have a journey that we make. And sometimes we veer off course, sometimes we veer back on course. But it's how you make your journey, and how you've made your journey is where you're at today. You did a lot of good for a lot of people, and you are very well deserving, in my opinion, of what you received. Just like a convict goes to prison, a good person gets, salvation. You did a lot of good things for a lot of people, and a lot of people took advantage of that. A lot of people will take advantage of that. And
That's true.
when you had your braces on, I remember telling you, I worked as a physical therapy technician and assistant for many years. Um, and that was what I was trying to work on my doctorate degree in physical therapy. So I knew enough about what I was telling you was legitimate. But it all starts with the biggest muscle, the most powerful muscle. I was just telling this to my son last night. Your brain controls all the muscles in your body, but your brain also controls how you think and your actions. So if you had the movement in your foot, then you can get the movement back in your foot to where you could walk, and you did. It's kind of like the Forrest Gump. I'm not comparing apples to oranges. It's like, run, Robert, run. And you ran right out of those braces.
Yep. That was a that was an amazing 4 months because I think I tripped and fell so many times, but I got up, brushed myself off, and swallowed my dignity and said, "You know what? I'm in the midst of learning how to walk again."
And ride bicycles.
And riding, yeah, I'm riding bike now.
He did the Joe Biden a few
Yep,
weeks ago.
yep, that hurt. I think I bruised more than I thought I did. There's a chance that, I was talking about having stones, and it's a bruised kidney, which can be not very good. But since the pain has gone away, I believe that there's a little bit other pains that I have. We are not getting younger. I can tell you that right now. One
Well,
fall like that, I'm
I'm gonna
dead
say it on
meat.
the radio right now because I'm an inventor. I've always invented. I actually have found the fountain of youth, and it's having one birthday every 5 years. It'll work.
That
Have
work?
one birth every one birthday every, not every year. Some people have them every, like 7 a year, like your dogs. Stop that.
Wow.
Stop it. Have one birthday every 5 years, or 10 if you want to.
Well, that's actually true. I mean, if you think about it, it makes us younger, but it doesn't matter.
What is time? What is time?
Well,
Time is how you perceive it and how you take care of it.
according to Einstein, there is no time.
There is not. This is time right here on the watch. The clock is ticking, and it's always
Mhm.
going to tick. But if you take care and well maintain yourself, I have no way to. I'm people think I'm pregnant, which I might be, but
I don't
if
think
you,
you really wanted to go to that, did
I
you?
don't, I do not. But I'm just saying, if you take care of yourself and look at life positive, because there's more to it than what I'm saying. It's a depth. It's more of
Mm,
an in depth. It's
right.
about if you not only eat healthy, but you think healthy, be healthy, and stress is the biggest killer there is. My God, how easy is it to stress yourself out? And you're talking about every day you get up and turn your units, whatever you're watching on your phone, on YouTube. And when you're saying that, I wanted to say, it's a different mouth, a different day, the same topic. They
Mhm.
say the same thing.
Well, I'm not listening to the news. I'm listening to things about SpaceX, Elon Musk,
Oh, that's good.
what's going on. There's these two programs I watch. They give you up to date news. You know that he is literally going to possibly make second Starship launch in 4 weeks.
That's great. But
That's
I could
huge.
tell Elon Musk, I could instruct him how to make it so much better. I mean, here it is. He's this genius, and little me, can tell him how to make it way better and more positive. If we put certain people on his spacecraft and send it off, like Nancy Pelosi or maybe, Fauci or whoever, put these corrupt politicians on those spaceships and get them out of here. We can make the world a great place again.
There you go. That would definitely do it. I don't think he wants to even waste a rocket on those people. So doesn't say it
Waste it,
has to make it
waste it,
off.
waste it.
It
You
doesn't
know,
say it has to make it off the launch pad. Just
hey, waste it. Put it on pay per view. Make the money off pay per
oh my
view.
god, it's just yeah, that's kind of what I watch in the mornings. I tend because like I said, it's toxic. It's really
Well,
toxic.
he
And
was going to be in a fight with Knuckleberg, whatever his Mark Knuckleberg,
you know
Knucklehead, or
what?
something.
Those guys don't have time for that. And it might have been funny when we first heard about it, but it's never going to happen. It would The only
But
way that
what?
would
But what
happen.
did it do? It made great topics
Yeah,
to get our mind off of
that's
things,
it.
and
That's what
you
it did.
know,
I mean, but it's with everything, like you said, with everything, if you continue to watch all these bad things happen, I still do it, I'll admit, but when I start to do it, I start to listen, and if it's something I've already heard over and over again, I'm not gonna listen, I'll go to something else. I
yeah.
mean, I can't even I can't even begin to tell you how so much we were being lied to.
Oh
We
God,
are
yeah.
being lied to,
And
but
then when you hear the people praising those lying to us, like some of our favorite actresses and actors,
yeah.
you know, and I'm not mentioning names because I don't want to be sued like Jason Aldean sued one.
Mhm.
Uh, but when they're sitting there and they're so toxic and they're just destroying everything beautiful, what does that do to the person's destroying everything beautiful?
You
You
know,
know,
I can say this, and I'm gonna openly say it because I really don't God's on my side. In her day, Whoopi Goldberg was a very good actress,
she was at one time,
and she destroyed herself
but did life not
more
make her the way
ways
she is?
because
That's
she
what I'm
can't get
saying.
another job. She can't get
She
another job.
she got up every day and she probably turned on YouTube and then got on the View, which was toxic in its own self to get to that point. But to be from a beautiful person here to be so toxic, the environment that you live in is exactly what I'm saying. Poor Whoopi just got toxicated by the environment. I mean, if,
But
if
she's
she
got
if she
money,
would have,
she don't care.
well, that's true. But I'm just saying, if you're around positive people, no matter how rich or poor you are, if you're around people that do good and like to help people, like for example, my family in the Philippines, I've never once seen them argue. My wife, I've never seen her say a bad word, and I've known her for years. She's never said a bad word. Uh, she makes sure that I say my daily prayers. She's just a great person, and that's her whole family's like that. The children respect the parents. It's the home that is important. And if you have, some people can't have a two-parent home. Accidents happen, things happen.
Mhm.
It does. It just does. And as unfair as it is, it's just life. But kudos for the parent that has to step up and do a double role play. Like if, let's say, if a lady's husband dies in a car wreck or the other way around, and they don't give up on those children, and they have to step the plate and make it work and spend the time. Don't depend on your government. Don't depend on your education from school. Do the homework with them. Help them through the homework. Help them through the hard times. Help them throw that baseball. Get them out that door on a bicycle. That's how we were when we were children. I mean, if you fell and broke your leg, you didn't want to come in dragging blood on your floor because you got to clean the floor when you get in. You
Right.
know, Today they're tremendously talented kids with their thumbs and their brains for seeing this, but they
Mhm.
don't get out and they don't have physical activity. And the parents, they just don't care anymore. And I'm not talking for everyone, but I'm talking about a lot of people from our day. you know, I was out riding my bicycle. I mean, making jumps, and my mom yelled, "Tell me that Elvis just died." That's in that time era. That's what we were doing.
Hmm.
You know, we were out every day. We were bikers. We had our biker gang. We would ride at nighttime with flashlights duct taped to our handlebars. Unless you're a rich kid and had one that had the little thing that goes on your wheel that
I lived out in the
spins.
country, so we had, you know, but
Amish bicycle with a candle on it.
I can remember a time back in our day, uh, when having a dirt bike, and dirt bikes have no headlights on them. You would ride down a dirt road at top speed because you could let the moon or something, but you know how many times I did that? I look back and I think about that. It's a wonder I never hit a deer.
Well, this is why we are such a great educator for the younger children. Children, young people, when we're complaining and bitching, wear your helmet. Look at us. That's what happened to us. We didn't have helmets on, and look at us. That's why we act the way we do.
Yeah, well, and
You don't want to act like us.
no, no. But see, that's that's those are the great things about being alive. Um, Not long ago, somebody asked me, "What what did it feel like? What was happening?" And I'm just saying, this is, if it did happen, it is the best thing. There's no pain. There's nothing to be afraid of. And that person just looked at me and she got all, teared up. And I said, "Oh, that's all it is. All I know is that's all I can tell you. Because if anybody is ever wondering what it's like, it's you don't have to worry about it. But you should never, ever, ever think about taking a life or taking your own life.
No, no, and
Because
that's
if you even try to do that, it's really God's choice, I think. If He gives us free will,
he gave you a
gives us
life.
free will, and
Live it,
then He
live
gives
it.
you life, and if you extinguish it, only He has the right to say enough's enough. And He's got a path for you. He knows what's going to happen. Your life has already been written. But one of the things that I thought about was when she wanted to know, it was because she was scared. She didn't know what it's like, and I just man,
I did want to come back when I died, and I was dead for a very long period of time at CMC General Hospital. In fact, you looked up trying to get the RN Dana Hart on her show and found out he had died himself. That would have been a great show to get in the RN because when he was pulling my catheter out, that's when I hit the table in the morgue. And I didn't want to come back. And I sat before Jesus and he explained to me my life. And I'm not going to go into that story in its own self, but regardless, it was a very amazing journey that you and I both went through. And the outcome of the whole thing, everything that I've learned, is everything in this world you've got to do is what we're set here destiny is to live.
mhm.
That's it. It's that simple. We don't need to sit there and mutilate our bodies and think that we're something else.
No, no,
Understand,
no.
understand if you have a child, give
Just
that
let them
child,
talk. Let them talk.
give that child the love that they need. And if it's getting too much under your skin and you just can't take a deep breath and
Mhm.
think what it would be
You
like
know,
if you didn't have those children. You'll be so grateful.
what it
You,
is a lot of times what I think is happening right now in today's society is there's so much peer pressure and so much, social media has destroyed relationships, and in
government
fear
too.
of being looked as something different on social media, as it destroys a lot of kids' lives. We
If your
didn't
shoes don't cost $1,000 or whatever, then you're not going to be popular in school. Oh, come on, really? What if you went to school barefooted and you had to shave the hair off the feet like we did when we were kids? You remember when we had to go to school when we were kids? Listen, look at me truthfully. We had to walk 50 miles to school uphill barefooted and fight off dinosaurs to get to school. You guys are so lucky.
Yeah, we didn't have it that bad,
I
but
hope we don't have no lightning storm outside today. I'm
I
telling you what.
know. See, the thing about it is this is the journey, and um, our journeys are just like that. And so when you said to me earlier, you said you're more humble, and it's because of that experience.
Shaving your feet off going to school.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
The,
It's
the hair kept her feet warm. I mean, because back before all this global warming, we used to have to walk to school in 6 foot of snow. I mean, that was just in the springtime. Wintertime, we dug tunnels through it. We
totally
didn't have those Kamala Harris yellow buses or whatever. I mean, you know,
no.
sometimes the richer kids got to ride a goat to school.
We had good lives. We had really good lives. I'm not gonna look back. It's
Well, if you remember when we were younger, it was a complete different world because we couldn't see what they could see today because everything back then was black and white.
I know. That means we're in trouble, but I can't say much about that because there was a time in my life that I thought, how how did because you don't have any understanding of it. It just you see it black and white. You know, because you've seen color your whole entire life. You've never really seen a black and white show, and then you go to your grandparents and you see a black and white show, and and it's just like Pleasantville. You ever
Yeah,
see that movie Pleasantville?
that
I
was back before global warming when it was
Yeah.
black and white.
Yeah, we're screwed. Anyways, so we got about 5 more minutes. Is there anything else you wanna say in the last minutes we got?
Wow, it already went by that fast. No, I had a great time tonight. Thanks. I'm glad we were on here. And we got
Mhm.
a lot of big guests coming up that I'm really excited for. And I don't know, just one of our guests that we have coming up here, I'm going to leave that for up to you to talk about or whatever, but it led me to have to stop drinking the beer I was drinking because I noticed when I was drinking a certain brand of beer, my private areas were shrinking up and ready to fall off. So I'm glad we got the guests coming on that we have coming up soon. So if you want to break the can open, we'll talk about that. But if not, we've got some really good guests coming up that I'm really excited. Some of our guests that we've had on the show in the past, they're coming up.
You're gonna
Henry
start
Paul,
seeing changes. A little bit, it's gonna
Henry
change.
Paul, I think is coming back as a guest as well. The Outlaws. Remember when they were on our show before? And Henry Paul's the lead singer of the Outlaws. Now at the time they were together for 40 years, and they
Mhm,
had a new album coming out. It's all about pride. And when he sits there and he talks about, our band's been together 40 years because we're talking about, wow, you're just so tight. Their music was so tight. It's like, well, we've been together 40 years. Like, well, that's why you're so tight. But
mhm,
he told one of the most amazing stories. Remember, he was talking about, then again, it was a different world we grew up in
mhm.
when he would stand up in the back of a pickup truck, urinating out of the back of the truck, going through Atlanta, and they're
Into the
holding on to
wind.
his, yeah, holding on to the belt while he's just peeing off, the truck or whatever. Kids, don't try that. Now, you don't have to do everything we did.
Oh, no, you're gonna trigger somebody,
Well,
so
they may have a game or something where they, I'm peeing off my truck right now.
it's amazing. It is. Well, one of the things I wanna talk about in the last couple minutes we have here is that I am very thankful that God has given me a second chance in life, and I might
Amen.
not be doing everything exactly the way he wants me to. I feel that he's molding me for something very big in my life that's about to come, and it could mean a lot to me. And everything that's going on, the more that you ignore but keep alert, the better things are going to be. Because if you're not listening to this stuff, it means it doesn't exist. And but just be aware that the end is near. That's really all I want to say. And
Well, if I happen to come up visiting and you're not to be found, and I find your clothes laying everywhere, I'm not going back in your bedroom looking back in there. But
Mm-mm.
if it were the other way around during the rapture, and if you don't find me, one, I may be raptured, or number two, I might be in Facebook jail.
And you'll probably be in Facebook jail. I'll look for you there first.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's sad. It really is. Um, all I know is my experience.
Well, the truth's coming to light. All the truth is coming to light. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God it's finally rearing its nasty head. You know, he gave us a beautiful, beautiful world, and we destroyed it. But you know, here's something. One of our shows, we definitely got to dive into this, and we got because I wanted to do it so much before, and it really, I have to push this so hard. If you believe in something so much that you're 100,000 billion% sure that this is what's going on, I'm telling you, our science hasn't even touched a grain of sand of how much more we have to learn in this world. Because when I've been following, I know I sound like a broken book, but in the next show, we are going to be talking about is what is a galaxy and how come conveniently did God make it that each galaxy can take thousands of years to get one galaxy to another galaxy? Think about that.
And also in the same
How
topic of that,
many how many Earths?
quantum physics,
Yep,
which is very interesting in its own self. And there's a lot of people that we're only using a small percentage of our capacity of our
yep.
mind, a very small percentage. What if we could in 50%, 40%, 50, 60%, the capabilities that the world can become from using our mind, but you're only held back by your mind. Like I told my son last night, I can control my muscles through my mind, but I also control my thought and my actions through my mind. And you need to do that, and I need to do that. Let's make our thought and actions positive and make this world great again. It always has been great. The people have been great, but we taught ourselves toxic levels of how to greedily take everything instead of may I or shall I? It's give it to me. I earn it. It's mine. No, let's
It
not be
is
that
that.
person.
It is that. So, anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening to the show tonight, and we just wanted to say how thankful we are to have really good friendship and have God in our corner. And like Chris said, we have a lot of good shows coming up, and things are going to start to progressively get a little bit better over the winter and stuff. And I think you're going to see a little bit more shows on. We got many different shows, and I think even tonight the show is going to be in a place that it needs to be because uh, it's an honored show. But anyway, we'll see you guys.
I started growing the hair on my feet just getting ready for the winter time already.
Yeah, he did too. Yeah, he does. So anyway, we'll see you guys again. Remember to click and save and share with everybody else. And hope to see you next time. All
Good
right.
night, everyone.
Yep. Have a good night.